taxes, levies, and fees are still on their way. Babatunde Gbadamosi replies Gbadebo Road's Viva. Babatunde Gbadamosi, a Nigerian businessman, politician, and real estate developer, has just replied to Gbadebo Road's Viva, the Labour Party's gubernatorial candidate in Lagos State in the last election, who said that the multiple taxes are causing suffering for the masses. Gbadebo Road's Viva took to Twitter to post this. In his post, he said, "Do these people realize the level of suffering that's already in place? Will Iyaloja, Agberos, and LG agents stop collecting, or will this be another layer of the multiple taxes on the suffering masses? In time, he might just realize Nigeria is not Lagos." So, Gbadebo Road's Viva on his official Twitter handle, in his words says, in quote, "Do these people realize the level of suffering that's already in place? With Iyaloja, Agberos, and LG agents stop collecting, or will there be another layer of the multiple taxation on the suffering of the masses? In time, he might just realize Nigeria is not Lagos." Interesting, because the federal government focuses plans to collect VAT from market traders and the informal sector. Well, Babatunde Gbadamosi, however, replied to his tweet, saying more taxes, levies, and fees are still on the way. He basically says they are still warming up. More taxes, charges, and levies are on the way. You see, when your foundation is weak, trying to build just does not make sense. Because Nigeria in itself is such a systemic failure, right? In all counts, in everything. Like, in everything. What do we talk about? Different sectors of infrastructure. The infrastructure that's meant to make a country run. The infrastructure you have is basically the engine wheel. So we're talking the health sector, education, trade, economics. We're talking educational, health. What else? Imports and exports. So it's like, these are so important for a country to function. And we lack such structure. We lack organization from the root. So when we try to create a system or try to maintain a system that we haven't built, we look foolish. We honestly do. Because when you talk about taxes, levies, we don't even know how many people are in the country. Let's start with that. We don't even know how many people could have bank accounts. It's such a mess. There's no orderliness, right? Only big corporations that are registered can get taxed. But if you look at the informal sector, which shouldn't be, why should any sector be informal? I don't understand. Things should be recorded. Things should be organized. You want to go tax from market women who most likely have not even registered their businesses, or most will get away with not registering their businesses. So under their name, they've actually not paid any tax. But there's some informal agbero, whoever, fake task force, whoever they are, coming to people and charging them money every single day. And then let's not even talk about, even like in Lagos, the transport system and the rise of agberos. I watched a documentary on it, and you find out how much bus drivers and conductors are charged for parking, for existing, for moving, for going to certain locations. And you have agberos who are the informal task enforcers or task force. And so it's like, wait, I don't understand. And then there's more to come. So then look at the amount of money that flows in Lagos every day, or even in Nigeria every day, that is unaccounted for. That's where it is. We don't have any system. We don't have any way of living. We don't have any way of documentation. We don't respect systems. We don't even maintain systems even when they're made. And then, as said by Gbadamosi, the level of suffering that already exists, like, because you lack structure, right? That's why it doesn't make sense when they talk about the minimum wage. Like, with the minimum wage, there's certain basics that you are meant to afford. That is how you calculate your minimum wage. And for different age groups. In other countries, from when you're 16 to 25, there's a certain bracket. And then from 25 to above, I think you're now officially seen, depending on what you earn, and by your age, you should technically earn more. And then by the basics of how you should live, that includes your rent, that includes your food, especially. These are the two determinants of the minimum wage. And then in a system where there's yearly rent payments. Does that make sense? And then individual businesses getting taxed. But then how do you then pay? How are people getting paid? It's like people, it's so unregulated. Nigeria is so unregulated. So there's so many problems. And I just personally think we should scrap everything and start again from the beginning. Because we will get frustrated trying to fix an issue. But because at the roots and at the foundation, it's not strong, it hasn't been set or maintained, it's like you run into other issues. So you try to fix one thing, another thing comes up. You fix another thing, another thing comes up. So you then end up derailing from what you're meant to achieve because other things have come up. And that's why it's like when you have a system, nothing works on their own isolated. It's because it's like a link. Everything's like a spider web of functioning capacities that allow for everything to look beautiful. It's not easy, but the level of disorganization, of dysregulation, it's such a problem. And so with that, it allows for the corrupt society in Nigeria to breed and become what it is today. Put what you think in the comment section below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.